Welcome back, everyone, to a Jed and Gary wrestling podcast. This is some new content for you right now. So me and Gary have had this idea since the day we wanted to set up our wrestling podcast of just outlandish predictions. You can follow us at Twitter at Jed and Gary. No, it's not, is it? Yeah, it's Jed and Gary
Yeah, it's Jed and Gary WP.
Thank you. Repeat that, Gary, because I mumbled.
All right, so Twitter, it's at Jed and Gary WP. And if you'd like to follow me personally, it's at GeForce4Life with the number 4 and a Y instead of an I. Just because when you're GeForce 4 Life.
I'm not joking. It's like I had a hearing aid then and you were just speaking like, come on, Jed, listen now. But no, this is an idea me and Gary have had for a long time. We usually just spam out tweets about just random things we think that's happening. But when we've got an idea that we can expand a little bit on, this is where we're going to go down. So we do also reviews and previews of AEW. We are mostly AEW related at this period of time, with a few wrestling questions at the very end about miscellaneous, anything the topic of the world, past, present, or future. But this is all about our outlandish predictions. I'm starting this one off because I was on the way to the supermarket today, driving along. And I had some music in the background, and for some reason, I've got AEW theme songs on my playlist, by the way, just for your preference. And Judas, Chris Jericho's one came on, and it's nothing to do with Judas, but AEW sprung in my head straight away. I was driving along, and I just thought, what happens if Brodie Lee wins the title, and they need to continue this prestigious run of the TNT Championship, because Cody's done an absolutely superb job. And if you look at the people, the best example is Ricky Starks. Them sort of people that come through, they've won a contract through it, haven't they? So what happens if Brodie Lee offers a different kind of contract with this title? He wins it off Cody, good clean finish, and basically says, anybody that wants to challenge me for this title, you can have it if you beat me, but if you lose, you're going to join the Dark Order.
Yeah, I think the most outlandish part of that would be the clean finish.
What are you on about? It's going to be a great match of a nice, beautiful, crafty, clean finish for John Silver kicking Cody in the. Yeah, but it's going to be a clean finish.
Yes, absolutely, and that it's going to finish 1, 2, 3. Brodie wins.
Okay, so say Brodie does win, Gary. He gets the title. I did come out with an absolute stupid idea on our preview of this Saturday Night Dynamite in relation to his second one. We'll get into that if we want to. But if he does win, do you think this is something AEW would actually introduce?
I think AEW have a bit of a nostalgia complex when it comes to World Championship Wrestling. And a lot of their ideas sort of follow on from ideas that come from the previous brand for TNT. I don't think they would, though. Even though it would be their sort of NWO-esque thing with a little bit of a better feel towards it, because the numbers matter when it comes to Dark Order. So it would make sense. It's just you don't want a faction getting too big.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. You refresh my mind about the NWO growing in size a bit too much. And they have crammed down our throats, the commentators mostly. And a bit of Brodie Lee. The numbers do matter for the Dark Order. Now, how many shots have we seen in the last couple of weeks where some people are in the ring, or somebody is solo in the ring, and suddenly a tag team comes out of nowhere, or all 8 of them come out of nowhere? We saw Anna Jay, all the full set came out. We had the attack on somebody on Dark, because I've finished watching that now, right at the very end as well. And it was just, they have crammed it down the throat. And I think if they did increase in numbers, I wouldn't mind, because when I look back, okay, when they had them little teasers before the big Kenny and Hangman angle came along, we were thinking, we could both agree with this, Gary, the Dark Order, yeah, they're getting better. They're okay, but they're still a bit in the lower mid card aspect of the whole of the company, because Brodie Lee wasn't involved, and then he's escalated it massively beyond compensation of how well it actually is and how well it's doing. But imagine people like Hangman Page at that time, he was going to be the one that was going to join him. Well, that was the tease, weren't it? But you're looking at storylines now where Colt Cabana's in it, and you're like, oh, I can't believe they're taking Colt. And then if you look at the storyline on BTE with Griff Grayson, and obviously you've got the Slash Jungle Boy. Imagine someone like Jungle Boy going and joining in. It would just be, oh, I can't believe they're taking Jungle Boy. And the perfect way to introduce that is if Brodie Lee basically says, if you want the title, you can fight me for it. That's fine. I'm technically a heel fighting champion, but oh, curveball, you're going to join me. And then imagine a Jungle Boy joining, and then Luchasaurus going, oh, you can't do that. I'm going to face you now. And if I beat you, I'm taking the title. I'm taking Jungle Boy back. Then he loses. And then he's in the Dark Order. Instead of him wearing his Dino mask, he's wearing a Dark Order mask with a Dino mask on top. But yes, in the long run, Gary, you've hit the nail on the head.
Are you legitimately stating that we would have Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy in that faction, right? Having been defeated by Mr. Brodie Lee?
Yes.
However, the hero of the entire story freeing both of them, Marco Stunt.
Oh, no. I forgot about that bit.
You know what I'm like for like proper David versus Goliath stories, mate.
He would get. No, but the good thing is they could build it up to like a really decent. Imagine if this did happen, they could build it up to like a really decent match. This is proper fantasy booking now. We're going down, Gary, but they have like a decent intro video. Marco Stunt's in for it. It's like a mid-season finale match, and he just ends up Brodie near enough taking his head off, and then he joins the Dark Order as well. Or if you do want it, where he actually saves them both and saves like Colt and stuff, because this is where the cult aspects comes into it. You can have like other members of not the elite, but like the best friends, because they've been interwoven with them a little bit, like coming in to help him, and then somehow Marco Stunt does win, and he gets the title as well, and it would just make it funnier because they'll do all the small jokes with the title just to top it off. The title will look much bigger on him. It's a bit like a Little Britain skit. I can't remember what it is, but it's that guy that shows up and he's asking to be part of a movie, write the theme tune, sing the theme tune, and everything that he gets handed down is like huge, and he can do that with Marco Stunt for the TNT title.
Hand him a Monopoly piece. Ends up being the size of a house.
Oh, it's like if you ever won the casino battle royale and you had that chip, you have to have an angle where someone passes in the chip and it's just huge compared to him. So funny. But no.
See, it's got a million different possibilities, does this story?
It really does. And stuff like this, though, I get myself in fantasy booking and I corner myself in where if it doesn't happen, I'm generally disappointed in myself thinking, wow, I could have been a really dreadful comedy writer right now. Like, my jokes are not funny, but I'll give you the skits and you can make it funny. That's all that matters. Oh, Jesus. WWE will love me. Like, Vince McMahon will have a chuckle with me sometimes, the stuff I can give him.
Yeah, they're hiring as well.
And I won't be applying.
Oh, that's disappointing.
but not all in all, Gary, was winding back a little bit, back on the point. Why did the NWO then, if we're mirroring that to this aspect, if Brodie Lee goes down this line of recruiting and actually getting more in his Dark Order, and imagine if the numbers go up to like 15 or 20, why mirroring NWA is that bad?
It's because it has to split the faction eventually, and you're just going to have faction wars, and it takes over the entire program. I know that we like the Dark Order being on the TV, and that there's something that we look forward to, but eventually it just becomes something that you get annoyed at more than anything.
A bit like when Charlotte was on WWE, like all three brands, because it feels like it's getting crammed down you. You just like, oh no, I just want to watch something else now, somebody else.
Yeah, exactly like that.
That was tedious, I'll tell you.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because Charlotte's actually fantastic.
Yeah.
It's just you can't throw someone straight at you constantly because the audience will just get bored and switch off from them, and the character might then never recover, and we don't want that to happen with the Dark Order.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. They've got longevity with the Dark Order in a way. I generally think they can do two things with them. If they cut them off entirely, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, but make it last a good year and a bit, or 2 years at least. Maybe a bit longer if you're pushing it, depending on what kind of booking, because their booking style is amazing, and I think they can do the longevity on it. However, if they do get rid of Dark Order like a bit earlier or sooner or whatever, imagine your line where you've got the big, not invasion angle, but the split angle, the two like branded split.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a idea now just for you in a second. We mentioned it on the preview, but you can do it where the goal, but and then suddenly in like 2 years, 3, or even 5 years down the line, you see snippets again of that guy that recruits the Dark Order, and we see the Dark Order join darkorder.com or whatever the website was, and we see that again. That'll get a good pop. I generally think in like 5 years' time when you haven't seen it for a good 4.
Yeah, well, nostalgia pops are always a great thing, which is, I think, why AEW's sort of such a fan of them. And I keep saying it's AEW that's the fan. It's probably the TV company.
Yeah.
So it's probably TNT.
It is because they were the hugest fan. Well, hugest, that's not even a word. Jed dictionary time. They were that big of a fan for Orange Cassidy, and they wanted to put a bit more of a show on. They might have even pushed Orange Cassidy to go against a bigger star. I generally think Chris Jericho wanted to work with him, but nevertheless, TNT might have just said, "Come on, Tony, try and get him a bit on TV, a bigger angle, sort of thing." So TNT might be behind the reins of the Dark Order being in a bit more limelight, and that's why they're trying to see if they can get the Dark Order over and BTE into Dynamite, which I think is working like a dream.
Yeah, the Dark Order are the highlight of BTE for me, as well as the 50 seconds for 50 plus segment. Like this week's with Brandon Cutler, as a side note, can I just say I did find very informative.
There will be one where I'll sit down and watch the 50 seconds 50 plus, and I'll go, wow, I actually learned something really well then. Like when he was it like 3-4 weeks ago when he started hanging up the stuff around his house, when Matt was like hanging stuff up.
Yeah, I think it was either last week or the week before that one was there. And I
Yeah,
was
I was
like
like,
really
oh.
impressed with that because I was like, well, that's a bit of a different idea. I get that. That's great.
Yeah, and I was thinking the same, thinking, oh, brilliant. I've just bought a new house and we're decorating and whatnot. Perfect. I'm going to do that. And I'm literally half the age of 50 plus.
I
But
genuinely can't wait for them guys to be 50 plus themselves.
yeah.
Just because there's a whole comedy skit in that straight away.
So the last thing I'll mention then, Gary, in my outlandish prediction, you could do the next outlandish prediction video, but is something we mentioned on the preview. I mentioned it and you thought, oh, it's interesting, but I don't know where it's going to go. But say Brodie Lee wins it, because this is what this video is all about. And then they do that TNT title. They've got 2 TNT titles because he took that dustbinny beer can looking one and he was showing it in his little video to promote Saturday's match. And they use that and basically put that on Dark. So you said brand split, okay? This instantly, when you said brand split, the Dark versus Dynamite.
Where would you put some of the characters though?
I would put Brandon Cutler and Avalon secretly somehow join the Dark Order accidentally through a D&D match. I will put the Hybrid 2 accidentally trip into another world and then accidentally putting on some masks, and then they end up in the Dark Order. And then you've got like the executives of Dynamite, all the big stars going, what is happening down there at the moment? Because they rarely end up on Dark. And then suddenly imagine having like Kenny or Hangman having a match on Dark, and then suddenly going, Jesus, I'm surrounded by people in Dark Order masks. And then it somehow like revives a good old little brand war, and it'll be good as well because there is talks, and me and you've discussed this previously, Gary, of The AEW might end up with another hour or 2 hours of TV time eventually. Either end of the year or going on to next year, hopefully as well, fingers crossed, because I think 2 hours of Dynamite itself is not enough, and even Dark is not enough sometimes. But if they do that, it's a little good birth as well, because in the brand split, you can end up with that third-ish type of one, if you know what I mean, where I don't want to join the Dark Order, I don't want to join the Dynamite side, I'm going to join the third brand, and they can just take, like, they can take shots at NXT again by using the third brand. Wow, this is very outlandish right now.
You know, the third brand could be a really good comedy stable.
Nakazawa being the main guy.
Yes. We need more Michael Nakazawa, to be fair.
I really enjoyed his match against Kip Sabian this week, to be honest. There was one shot where I think he was pouring oil on Kip when he was led down in the middle of the ring. No, I can't remember. Something to do with his oil, as usual. And it pans to Kip Sabian's face, actually in shock. And then it pans to Flair Ford's face, and she's equally as in shock. And I really laughed at it. And both Tony and Taz were peeing themselves as well on commentary. But no. That's enough for me, Gary. I'm actually drained having about 15 minutes speaking about this outlandish prediction right now. Is there any extra bit you want to put onto it?
Oh, I'm more than happy with that. If anyone wants to comment on it, just comment below or send us a tweet.
Fantastic. If you haven't done also already, guys, please like and subscribe. We are a new channel. We're trying to build up as much as possible. We've recently just got on ourselves on Red Circle, so you might see us on Spotify, Apple down the line, Google Podcast down the line, wherever you get your podcasts from. And we will be doing much, much more. Please stay tuned to our review of Saturday Night Dynamite. Me and Gary are hopefully going to do it on Sunday morning UK time, which might come out in the afternoon or later on that day. Sometimes my PC doesn't want to download the videos quick enough, hence one at 1 a.m. UK time the other night. I got a bit of stick off Gary. However, much appreciated. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you very soon.